I am now live. Hola, how is everyone? It is time for another story of hope. Story of hope. I'm gonna let Instagram allow all of my followers to start joining. Here you guys go. Hi. Today is a big day. If you haven't signed up, I have a webinar happening in 2 hours. It's going to be recorded, so even if you can't make it live, it is called Your Fertility Roadmap, the do's and don'ts to getting pregnant faster. Top 10 do's and don'ts, which I'm going to go through. I'm also going to go through a fertility roadmap, which is basically this story of hope. I'm going to show you what I mean by what is a fertility roadmap. But the webinar, it's free. It's happening in 2 hours. Go to aimeeraupp.com/webinar and sign up now, because even if you can't make it live, you will get the recording. So please, these are the things that I've learned in my 20 years of clinical experience of the top 10 do's and don'ts, and then also why it's so important to have a fertility roadmap and what that actually is. I'm going to break it all down for you. For instance, like I have this really pretty graph of like how one thing leads to another between community support and having the right team and vitamin J, if you can guess what that is, right? So getting this roadmap so you can feel like you have a plan and you're not running in circles doing the same thing over and over again expecting different results, which is how a lot of women how I find a lot of women when they come to me. They are just doing the same thing on repeat and pulling their hair out because it ain't working, and where the frick is my baby? And yeah, so join that webinar and then come right back here and watch me live. aimeeraupp.com/webinar. As simple as it comes. Register now. If you watch this later, you're going to miss the registration because webinar starts at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock Eastern time, which is in 2 hours from now. Okay. Story of hope. So they're all good ones. This is a great one. She was meant to do a live story of hope with me, but life is busy with a newborn baby, so I'll get right to that. Came to me in 2018. Joined. Once the webinar starts at 2 p.m., you won't be able to register, so do it now. That's what my team just wrote, because they keep me down. They keep me honest, I suppose is what I want to say. So she came to me 2018. The time she was 44, and she had been trying to conceive for 1 year. She had one miscarriage. She found out she miscarried at 10 weeks, but the baby stopped growing at 6 weeks. Oh, great team. I agree. My team keeps me honest. I mean, I'm a very honest person, but you know what I am? I have leaky boundaries, and I'm like too giving. So I would have been like, 2:01, let her in. They'd be like, no, 2 o'clock. Amy, 2 o'clock. That's why you have a team. That's why you have a front office person. That's why you have a team. Learn that the hard way. So 44 comes to me. She joins my Yes You Can Get Pregnant eCourse, which is going to be open for enrollment very, 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 very soon. So keep your eyes out for that. She joined my Yes You Can Get Pregnant eCourse. And with that, she purchased, at the time we were doing it where she could do 2 calls with me. We don't offer that same one anymore, but there are other options. And like I said, she had one miscarriage about a year prior to us meeting. And she has subclinical hypothyroidism. Her TSH was a 3. No one was treating that. That pissed me off. That's what it's important about your fertility roadmap. Who's managing your blood work? Who's telling you what lab tests to get and what they should be? Who's looking at all the pieces? That's part of your fertility roadmap. So that's what I started doing for this client. I put her pieces together. Prior as well, she was more vegetarian. And so then she started following me. She read my books. Well, at the time, she read Yes You Can Get Pregnant. And I think Body Belief had just come out. She was starting to she had done a fertility reboot program of mine and learned a lot about her body and realized like she had a lot of red flag symptoms. So I have her patient registration here. She had hypothyroidism. Her red flags, headaches, migraines, ear infection, sinus congestion, dry skin, dry scalp, eczema, easily sweat, dizziness, bruise easily, fatigue, bloat, GI symptoms, insomnia, low libido, too hot, too cold. So, like many of you, she was in your 40s. Like many of you in your 40s, she was worried about the big change happening and that was she going to miss the opportunity for this child. Her doctors at this point were also pushing her to do egg donor, which I'm never against, but I want to make sure we've looked under every rock. And it's a little later in the story, but what winds up happening is we worked together. Her period was, she had a heavy period, no clots, gentle cramps. She changes a regular 3 times a day, which I didn't think was as heavy as she thought it was. I wanted to build more blood. And she had just started eating a little bit more protein. She was, like I said, she was doing the fertility reboot, which is a course we run regularly. Low libido, no change on thyroid meds, was always very low. She sees a good ovulation spike. She doesn't always see good cervical mucus. She started doing some Chinese herbs. But most of our conversation was really focused on the emotional piece. She was really torn up of like, is this going to work for me? Can I really do this? Did I miss my opportunity? Has time run out? And like I said, she wasn't opposed to donor eggs, and I wasn't opposed. I'm never opposed. When I always say, if when you know, if it feels good to you, it's good for you. Some girls are very against it. Others are like, I'm open to that idea, right? But so she's in my eCourse. We do 2 coaching sessions. She then gets pregnant again, and she then has a second miscarriage. And at this point now she's 45. What is the cause of subclinical hypothyroidism when there are no autoimmune issues? Well, that's the thing. So let's dig deeper. You'll see. This is, again, why you need a good medical team, because no one looked at thyroid antibodies. So first thing I recommended when we first meet, we'll go through my follow-ups here. Sorry, I had them right here and now I can't find them. Actually, I'm going to go in here. It's easier. So our initial follow-ups were blood work. We wanted a complete thyroid panel for thyroid antibodies. We wanted vitamin D. We wanted iron. We wanted ferritin. We actually did a Dutch test. We did genetics on her. And when she has the second miscarriage, of course, all her doctors are saying, well, now you're 45. All your eggs are bad. So that's why, you have to just do donor. And she didn't necessarily, I guess, believe it. Or wasn't ready for that. And so when I looked at all her case and all her symptoms, and she was eating more clean, then we dug deeper. And I was like, let's do a food diary. Again, this is why you need a fertility roadmap and a good quality medical care team, because we kept her accountable. I kept her accountable. Food diary comes in. She is not eating gluten or soy, but she's eating a lot of dairy. And, she has a cheese plate, she has ice cream, her eczema is still bad, her digestion's still bad. And then, as we dig deeper too, she admits we have put on hold looking into moving to a new home, making extensive job or career changes, traveling. A lot of my lifestyle choices have been limited since trying for this baby. I'm trying to ease up on being super controlling. You guys can all relate. And I've come to new insights on the job and home front, and I don't feel like I'm being held back. I don't feel like there's anything truly holding me back. But if I knew for certain I would have a baby coming to me, I would ease up on all the attention I put on fertility. Reading, podcasts, workshops, meditations, acupuncture, along with eating so damn carefully. So she's resentful here. Note on this, I do eat very healthy overall, and I have for a long time, because it feels good to be clear and have the energy to really be alive. So that's a permanent lifestyle thing for me. What's frustrating is not enjoying wine, cheese, ice cream. My social life revolves around food, and it's tiring. Raise your hand if you can relate, right? Raise your hand if you can relate, especially pre-COVID, right? This was the life. I used to have an eating disorder. Other than that, there's not much more I would change. If we pursue IVF, we are going to go financially broke. So preparing for the cost would mean not doing a lot of these things next year. So there's a lot of stress on there from all the perspectives, right? From fertility treatments to diet to lifestyle to feeling, I guess the way I would capture that is like feeling left out, feeling like, well, I can't enjoy my life while I pursue baby. And that was a lot of the massaging and the work that we had to do. And that's a lot of what I'll do when I prepare the fertility roadmap for my clients. It's like, what are you putting on hold for your life right now? And what would you start doing today if you knew baby was coming? And that's something for you all to contemplate. I'm not answering calorie questions right now. This is a story of hope. If you want, there is a Q&A in the webinar today that's happening at 2:00. So go sign up for the webinar, show up and ask your questions. I'm not taking questions in advance, but I am taking them live on the webinar. So aimeeraupp.com/webinar, and you can get a Q&A with me. And I think I'm also doing, that's it. So she also said it feels great to be a part of a group, because she's in the eCourse. And then she also did the fertility reboot with us, and that was helpful to do that as a group, doing it to better understand and be in touch with my body. I learned a few new things, what does and does not work well for me, and that feels great. It's worth it to have an even deeper confidence in my communication with my body. I love that. She said, so these were like a questionnaire that I'll ask some of my coaching clients of like, what do you think is blocking you? What do you think's in the way? I'm truly really tired of focusing on perceived blocks and feeling like there's something at this point that I haven't addressed. Something that's wrong with me, and trying to find it has caused a lot of anxiety over time. I intuitively feel it's biological issues that need to be looked at closely. Then we were digging deeper into her lab work and still her red flag symptoms. So again, like I said, we did food diaries, we continued to tweak, and a lot of other things came up for her. She's exhausted from overthinking. There's an emotional block. She has her tools. She's doing everything. She discussed her resistance with going for her IVF consult and discussing egg donors. And she had to already fight back. That's not the first convo she wants to have with the doctor. We discussed consistency with the diet. She said nightshades are not a trigger for her. Let's see. She hates to cook. We discussed softening around the process. She did say overall, being in the group, I feel really supported. And we wanted to dig deeper into our Western medicine thing. So we did find immunology and what would I say? We found a lot of inflammatory markers when we dug deeper from a blood perspective. And so at this point now, like I said, 45, we've had 2 miscarriages. We're now 4 years trying to conceive. We have discovered that she has a T-cell issue. She has MTHFR. She has a protein S deficiency, which would cause miscarriages. So through our work, these are the things we discovered. We're still managing the thyroid. It's not Hashimoto's, but she does have some other inflammatory conditions that are playing a role. She still has the dry skin eczema. She still has the fatigue. So again, a lot of it was like tightening the reins on the diet. And the lifestyle. And I think working through what I would say, the anger and that piece of feeling left out. So medication. So now that we've done the deeper dive into some of these immunological things, we are working with a doctor who's also recommending that if she is to get pregnant again and or do fertility treatments, she needs to do some autoimmune support. She needs to be on Lovenox. She needs to be on prednisone. She should be on progesterone. She did see a reproductive immunologist, yes, as per my urging. She, like most women, you know, and I get it. You're 45, you've had 2 miscarriages, you're very convinced, like you believe that the doctors, when they're telling you it's all your egg quality, you believe that. But when I see back-to-back miscarriages in a woman, like, honestly, as healthy as she is and was, and for however long she's been healthy, like, yes, she had red flags. I always suspect, and I also knew that she was going to do IVF with her own eggs. If it didn't work, she was moving to donor. And what I always think about in that perspective, even just IVF, it's a huge investment. And I knew it was a huge financial investment. And I just don't want my girls wasting embryos. I think that's fucking ridiculous, and it pisses me off. And there's a lot of embryos that get wasted because no one does proper testing before they transfer them. And so this was that case where I was like, no, we are not wasting embryos, whether they're your own or their donor. You might miscarry again. We need to look deeper. And she heard me. I think she just felt like it was too much work and money and time and medications, and she wanted to be as natural as she could be. And listen, I'm an alternative medicine doctor. I'm a natural fertility expert. I'm all about natural. There are so many things we can do, but there are so many things we also need support on, right? I'm not going to ever tell a girl of mine not to take thyroid medication and that I could treat it with herbs alone. Not if she's trying to get pregnant. No, she's going to go on the thyroid meds, right? If she's having miscarriages and I see a clotting factor, I'm never going to say, oh, you don't really need to treat it. No, I'm going to say you have to see a hematologist and you need to be on a blood thinner. That's how I work. I've been doing this for 20 years. That's part of that fertility roadmap. There's a fine line of doing it like all natural and being super controlling, but also, you know, we need to pull all the pieces together and look at the whole thing and come up with a clear plan. And it's okay. There's no shame in the game to get some support. If it's in the form of medication, if it's in the form of herbs and supplements, emotional support, right? You know, so I felt like there was a tug here, a lot of tugs. We, you know, from diet recommendations. So this is a write-up that she had here. You know what to do here. The key for you is, and this is for all of you guys, the key with the diet is consistency and frequency and focusing on what you can eat versus feeling deprived. You can do nightshades if positive, it's not a trigger, but strongly recommend you stay in phase three of the egg quality diet. Avoiding dairy, gluten, and soy really is key because we kept seeing her symptoms would get better, then they would get worse. Get better, they get worse. And then we really urge, be sure to eat enough fat, protein, and 6 to 8 servings of vegetables a day. Try to make cooking more fun. These are all really good tips for you guys. Look at it as a means to nourish and restore yourself. This food is good for building my blood. This food nourishes my skin. And implement the MTHFR guidelines, which I have a whole guideline sheet. So supplements. We had her on cod liver oil, baby aspirin, just in the luteal phase. A good prenatal, liver, probiotic, collagen, D, zinc, methyl guard, like so something to support her MTHFR, broccoli sprouts because I love them, melatonin because on her Dutch test her melatonin was low, adrenal assist because on her Dutch test her cortisol and cortisone levels were in the tank, and lifestyle. Continue on the herbs. I put her on herbs. Do castor oil packs, which you guys all know I love castor oil packs. If you want information on how and when to do them, just Google my name, Aimee Raupp, plus castor oil, and you will find all the information. I'm not going to answer the question here. On the emotional front, you have worked through so much of this. Now it's about easing up. This is all, you guys all need to hear this. It's about easing up on yourself, judging less, and being open to receiving. You are perfectly imperfect, and it's okay to receive support and help along the way to this baby. Your body is strong and resilient and can handle the IVF medication. So she had a lot of fear around the meds. She was very resistant to the additional meds to support the immunological stuff and IVF. And I see that all the time. I'm not judging her by any means, but it was hard to take that in. Put trust in the doctors and in the process that has led you here. These are all such big pointers and tips that I just want you all to really take in. I'm making a note for myself because this is actually such a good piece. This would be a nice post. It's about easing up on yourself, judging less, and being open to receiving. You are perfectly imperfect, and it's okay to receive support and help along the way. Did you guys all hear that? Your body is strong and resilient. Did you hear that? Put your trust in your team and what has led you here. Her labs, we look all good. We're just got to take the meds. Overall, stated above, you're doing great. You're doing it all. Consistency and frequency. Consistency and frequency. Okay, so at this point, again, this is, she's 45 at this point, and where did I go? Okay, and I'm going to go through, now we're going to move this to emails, because then now we get, into more of the juicy details. So she continues on the path, doing all the things. We do her genetics, we do her Dutch, we find things that we're going to shift. Even before, I wanted to also, let's see. Okay. Sorry, let me just get through. I connected her with a few other girls in the group, 2 of whom were considering, like, similar cases is what I'd say. And I do that a lot in my eCourse community. It's a private community, but when I find girls that I feel like have a lot of similarities, I'll connect them on the back end. And so, sorry, I want to just get, okay. March 1st. Good morning. It's been a while since our coaching last summer, and I'm revisiting your recommended protocols from my Dutch test as well as my reproductive immunology testing as things have moved along for me. I've opted to use donor eggs, and we are currently about 5 weeks out from our first frozen embryo transfer. What's coming up for me is I'm not feeling that these immunology protocols are necessary. And second, wondering if there's any difference in the recommendation from your perspective in using egg donors versus my own. In reviewing the analysis, it did not appear that I have elevated NK cells, but I do have MTHFR and the protein S. I've highlighted below what you noted as those that I should consider. I know there's not an answer that provides 100% certainty, but I do want to get your opinion again. For additional context, our RE does not feel like these are going to make a difference. He feels what was causing my miscarriages in the past was my age and hence egg quality, and the donor egg will solve for that. The one here I will be doing without doubt is progesterone, but the immune complex, IVIG, Lovenox, and dexamethasone, I'm really unsure about. And so I write back, hi love, I'm super excited for you. Wow, yay. I definitely say do the progesterone and the Lovenox based on the protein S and the MTHFR. I wouldn't risk it. I think you're fine without the IVIG. Maybe I would do the steroids, maybe I wouldn't. However, if this transfer doesn't take, this is what I say, then the next transfer, you have to do it all. The clotting factor issues are most pertinent to address. Thank you, Aimee. I very much appreciate the quick response and recommendation. That is truly what I was feeling. Lovenox and progesterone. I will keep you posted. Just wanted to let you know I got a very big surprise week as I was supposed to start the 2-week countdown to prep for my first FET on Monday. And after not getting my period, I just confirmed that I'm pregnant naturally at the age of 46. I need to have a second beta test done on Monday to see if it's viable, but holy moly, I can't believe it. Actually, after getting ready with 6 blasts of top-notch quality of donor eggs, anywho, I'm very curious. I'm of course very tentatively excited, but to be honest, don't have high hopes that this will turn out well. But in case it does, we'll be in touch as I feel I may need some additional support. Curious if you've had anyone else in our group that got pregnant at this age and it's worked out for. And at that time, I had 2 women right now. I said, oh my God, holy moly, this is exciting. I actually have 2 women right now at the age of 46 who are pregnant naturally with healthy baby girls. They're both having girls. It's mind-blowing. And I recently had a 48-year-old create a healthy euploid embryo with her own eggs too. So this is doable. Keep me posted. I'm so excited for you. Next email. Exciting and likely not viable, this pregnancy. My beta is not doubling, only went up by 30%. I had my 3rd blood draw this morning. That said, I do feel like this is an incredible sign that my body is ready for pregnancy and my heart is more at ease than when this happened in the past because we have a plan B with our 6 embryos of donor eggs ready to go. To answer your question, I'm taking the baby aspirin and progesterone, but I was not taking the Lovenox. I really tapped into my intuition and felt it was worth attempting our first transfer without it. If it doesn't work the first time, I will add to the protocol next time. As much as I'd like to believe it's not my eggs, it's what my heart is telling me is the biggest factor for me. That said, I'm very appreciative of your emotional support. So now she's basically, she got pregnant right before that transfer. She unfortunately, it didn't stick. She miscarries. She was taking baby aspirin, no progesterone or anything. And then now she's decided with the transfer of the donor eggs, she's not going to do the Lovenox, even though she has the MTHFR and the protein S deficiency. And now she has 3 miscarriages. I of course always support my girls, but I didn't feel good about this decision. And she said, I'm open to your honest advice. And I said, okay, love, I trust your intuition. I know your body is ready. And I'm excited for you. I will stand in solidarity with you. That's how I do it. And so, okay. So then now we have to wait for her to fully miscarry. And then she does the first frozen embryo transfer with the donor. Looping back in here because it's been a little while. I posted in yesterday's office hours, so I do a weekly live Q&A in my eCourse. So my girls get me every single week with questions, and they get their community and their tribe. It's just incredible. It's a huge part of this fertility roadmap, in my opinion. And she really took advantage of this. The frozen embryo transfer with the donor embryo did not take. Donor egg. Husband's sperm. The initial test was positive, but the numbers went down from there. I went through it naturally. There was no DNC needed. I want to test the embryo to make sure it was not a genetic issue versus the immunology. In reviewing your response yesterday, plus your earlier response on this thread, I want to double check that you would say to do all of these things. So again, she's asking me, what should I really do this immune protocol? I write back, I'm frustrated and sad for you, and with that, I recommend strongly pulling out all the stops. The prednisone, the Lovenox, the IVIG. Let's freaking do this. Your body can handle it. There are plenty of women in the group who have done all these meds too, and they can support you. Thank you, Aimee. As always, I'm so appreciative of your wellspring of support and love. I'm taking a month off to get ready, realizing I need to get clear with these protocols and ready, as well as talk to someone. I'm holding a lot of grief and fear, and something you said in office hours recently about taking care of ourselves enough to ask for help really landed. So that's a big piece of that fertility roadmap, is like tuning in enough to know, like, am I really receiving support, or am I being defensive? Like, I'm hearing it. I signed up for this course. I'm paying this woman. I'm hearing it, but I'm not doing it. And so for her, I must have talked about it. And she said, I realized I'm holding a lot of grief and fear, and something you said in office hours, which again is where I go live weekly in my private community, about taking care of ourselves enough to ask for help really landed. I'll be in touch. Thank you so much. I said, sending so much love. I know this is going to happen for you, and you were doing all the things to support yourself, but getting even more support around this grief is so important. I'm cheering for you always. And then on October 10th, I'm writing with good news. First 2 beta HCGs are positive, and the numbers are more than doubling. Exciting beyond belief. I decided to do the entire protocol you suggested, so all the meds, and voila, look at that success. Lots of road to cover from here, but the best news we received to date, officially 4 weeks. The due date is mid-June. I don't know if it's too early, but I would love to join. We have a new mama group. Once our girls in our eCourse group, our private community, get pregnant, we move them to another private community for all new mamas. I would love to join the new mama group. I could use the support. I have lots of questions. And I said, this is amazing, getting you into the group. And she said, this is so surreal. I'm so excited for you. Take it all in. I checked in on her in May. I so appreciate the check-in. All is well here. Almost 36 weeks. And baby boy is due on June 17th. Uneventful pregnancy after the first trimester. Doing all the immune therapy, which I was able to stop at 13 weeks. Now just anxiously counting down and trying to soak in the last couple weeks. I'll definitely share once little man is here. And then she said, it still feels surreal to me, even as I waddle down the street and he kicks me in the bladder. Oh, it makes me so happy. I said, yay to waddling. July 10th, great news to share. I very recently met my baby, who was born on June 25th. I wanted to share the great news and let you know how much my work with you has meant to me. Thank you for your kindness, your belief, your wisdom, and the community you have helped create. Between you and all the other women, I was inspired to keep the faith through a lot of difficult moments and decisions over many years. My little boy needed some help getting here and some help landing on Earth. But my pregnancy was healthy and uneventful, and he is 2 weeks strong and thriving already despite the bumpy entry. Sharing some pictures and sending so much gratitude. I hope all is well with you. And he's so sweet. Always gets me every freaking time. Whew. And anyway, there we have it. And let's see. And then we, of course, messaged back and forth about her coming on to do a live with me here. But, you know, she's still in the trenches of new motherhood. As she said, great to hear from you. Everything is going well. I'd say normal. I'm feeling good / recovering, getting back to exercise. He's growing so much. He's over 10 pounds. He's a bit fussy. Breastfeeding hasn't gone that well. We've been figuring out some of that. All that said, we love him and are so excited to get to know this little personality. And yeah, and there we have it. Isn't that a beautiful story? So she did go on to do the donor. And, you know, and that's like, and no shame in the game. I'm not pointing this out to place blame or shame on anyone, but like my initial sense was the immunological piece needed extra support. She definitely had a clotting factor disorder that needed the Lovenox. She needed it. And as you can see, I've seen this before where donor embryo transfers don't always work. And it's not at quality. You know, in her case, it could have been. We didn't test every embryo that she miscarried. She got pregnant right at 44, 45, and 46 all naturally, miscarried all of them. But my suspicion is probably 1 out of 3 of those was genetically abnormal, maybe 2 out of 3, but I think had we been on an autoimmune protocol, perhaps it would have been different. However, with that being said, and even still, then we saw with the frozen embryo transfer of the donor embryo that you know, we needed more support. And then she did it. And I also think like that's such a huge piece to this fertility roadmap is like the surrender and the trust. And no matter what, like we didn't do anything wrong. We didn't miss anything. We're always exactly where we're supposed to be. And we always have to do what feels aligned with us. And that's the biggest thing I've learned in my almost 2 decades of experience is I meet my clients where they're at. And you saw, I cheered her on. Even she said, I'm not ready to do the immune protocol with this frozen embryo transfer. I didn't corner her. I didn't shame her. I didn't blame her like some doctors would. I just said, I stand in solidarity with you. If that's what feels right to you, I stand in solidarity with you. But make this promise to me. If this doesn't work out, will you promise me next time you're going to do this? Yes. How was she able to come off the protocol at 13 weeks? Did she no longer need the immune support? Yeah, I don't know that whole side of the story. Most of my girls stop the Lovenox at the end of the first trimester, and then they wean off the prednisone from about 12 weeks to 20 weeks. It just depends on the dosing. She might have weaned off faster. That's all I could answer that. But that's typical what I see. And then some girls have more significant clotting factor issues and they need to stay on the thinners the whole pregnancy. So it really just depends on the case and what came up in the immunology testing. A team who supports you and believes in you is everything. What a difference having a team that believes in you must make. Beyond emotional, I feel her. These always make me cry tears of joy. I can't wait to be one of your stories. Oh, I can't wait either. So beautiful. What a blessing. Oh. Well, okay. So if you guys want more of details on you creating your own fertility roadmap and I have top 10 do's, top 10 don'ts. And then I'm also going to do a live Q&A on this webinar. It's happening now in an hour and a half, an hour and 23 minutes really. Go to aimeeraupp.com/webinar and sign up. And I will see you later. If you can't make it live, you get the recording. And chances are your question is going to be asked and answered by somebody else. Asked by somebody else and answered by me. Okay? I love you guys. And we have a great week ahead for you. So there's so many more of these stories of hope. I'm also going to be doing fertility hot seats almost every day next week. So there's a lot in store for you. That's really going to be, my hope is to continue to always be of service to you, to inspire, to uplift, and to empower you. I love you guys. Keep going. I believe in you.